Uh uh uh. We're live. Chat test. We're back. Get baited. Over there it says chat is working. Chat is not working. Chat ain't working at all, but I have chat open. We can all enjoy the falsehoods on screen. You know what I mean? Not a sign of the times. Just big. Chat is working, but chat is not working. Hopefully, I can bait out some chats for you motherfuckers who sit there and they watch. But do they type? Any typers? How about that? I kid. Lurkers, please. Please come through. Please come and lurk. We would love to see a lurker too. In personal news, most recently, I have been very excited for Honkai Star Rail because I actually really liked Genshin a lot. And I'm gonna be very controversial when I say this. I actually liked Genshin a lot for its gacha mechanics. It was very strategically designed, and it's interesting. The only thing was, the balance of Genshin is all fucked up, right? The balance of Genshin is so bad. It's just not good at all. So the problem is, the problem being, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of technical bullshit to it, but basically they wanted it to be like, if you cast your big cool spell, the enemy fucking dies, right? Problem is, if you do that and you put a damage system together and you balance things in a way so that like there's big explosive damage, and you have all these characters, players are gonna dig into that and figure out how to make teams that just do like the big mega damage. And they did. And because you have sort of balanced the, damage and the HP relationships of your game, such that a big burst of damage is powerful, then yeah, that's what you get. You get a big bursty game, and the name of the game is just kind of get that going. And the other problem with it is there's no sort of sense of where the difficulty is going. I'm planning to do a run through, free-to-play run through, once the game is done. Once we get through, they'll keep extending it ongoing, but once all 7 of the continents are out, we're gonna do a run It'll be fun. But that's kind of like what I want to do. I want to do a run of Genshin. You know, I don't want to do a fucking wait fucking 3 months, play some more. I'm just gonna wait until it's done. Uh, I'll binge it at the end. Okay, but Star Rail seems more interesting because turn-based combat, and turn-based combat is easier to balance. That's the thing. Action, you know, RTS, RTA, real-time action, damage balance is really complicated, right? You know, everyone remembers the different combos that people found in Elden Ring, where it just obliterated everything. That would get nerfed. And then there was another one that got nerfed. And there's another one that got nerfed. It's hard. Turn-based is much easier to balance. And so, it is much easier to make, I don't want to say even challenging, I just want to say satisfying content. Right? Because big bursty damage stuff is cool when you do it one time. But if it works all the time, then you just do the same thing all the time, and it's literally just the same thing over and over again because it's just one shot, right? But if you have a good combo with your team in a turn-based game, even if it's like you have one team, right? You're gonna do the same thing with your team over and over again. But even if it's just that, you're actually like doing it, right? And the things are actually happening because it's turn by turn. But the combos will actually work. You're actually seeing what you made play out, and so it's a little more engaging in that way, I think. And easier to balance. Much easier to balance. So they can tweak the battles to be more intriguing if they need to be. I'm excited for that. That's coming in a couple months here. Chainsaw Man new chapters coming in a few days. God bless us. Let's go. We've been back on a bi-weekly schedule because Fujimoto wants to be ultimately. That's what he said. He gave a couple likely times he would, and then said, I'm also just gonna do it. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Even if I had complaints, which honestly I really don't. What am I gonna do? Stop him? Nope. Fujimoto does whatever he wants. So he was on break. New chapter coming soon. Like every chapter in part 2, it is just a stunning cliffhanger. Yeah. Never a dry period of things to think about with Chainsaw Man. That's coming soon. I'm excited for that. Work has been good. Oh yeah. Someone died in the coding boot camp that I'm doing, which is crazy. One of the students, I don't know their gender, so I'm just gonna say they were like in and out of class, had medical problems. I don't know if they had gotten COVID or what happened, but they didn't make it in the end. That was pretty strange. to find out about. Yeah. To kind of put a damper on the rest of the week, but we press onward. No, like, fuck. More life left for the living, huh? Great. Thanks. No. Well, anything else I want to tell you losers would possibly listen to this? Who knows? I have an octopus behind me. That was a gift. A clay work done by my mother. Wonderful. I love octopodes. Nope. Octopi. Nope. Pusses. Nope. It's all three. I said what I said. I want to fix Sanji, but I know it's just over. I have a rough time with physical objects, keeping track of my possessions. Sorry, Sanji. Real cell from the East Blue Arc. That this physical image was once shot with a camera onto film, and that film was I think it was digital at the time. I don't know. I don't know if the camera was digital or whatever, but they were shooting these. These were cells of the cell era. Hitting them with a light box and taking pictures. One frame at a time. Insane. They still draw it one frame at a time, by the way. I don't know what everybody thinks is going on. What everybody thinks is going on is what AI is trying to do, but AI is trying to go, hey, whoa, but I kind of think the coders of AI are even surprised at how far they've been able to go with it. I think that's the real thing about it. It's like, these guys will work on this and I'll be like, what the fuck? This is kind of crazy. We'll have another episode where we talk about AI. We're gonna do enough math stuff tonight. That's right. Tonight is a math episode. Leave now. We're done. Closed. Topologist talks. We'll do a topologist reacts. I'll read the to Golden. That one looked cool. It looked cool, but it only had like 2 chapters. I was like, I'll wait for more. We'll see where this goes. That'll be fun. I've also got a JoJo React planned. I've also got the next interview in the interview series coming soon. You heard it here first. We got it all lined up. Line them up. Anything else? Work's been fine. Been kind of slow. Up at the ads, so tips have been low. Gotta do my taxes. Been sleeping well though. Sleeping really well. God, I just want to play Honkai Star. Fuck. They're out. I really like MiHoYo's games. They're good. And with that scream of the piano, let us move. Onto Sakamoto Shimoto on my sack till like days. Well, it has to be racist or something. Shimoto on my sack till I days. Sakamoto days. There he is. Yes, one loop, perfect time. Didn't we chat? Hell no. This is the main character of Sakamoto Days, Mr. Sakamoto himself. I think he has a first name. I don't really care. Everyone just calls him Sakamoto. Mostly. Or Papa. Oh, in the case of his daughter. Of course. The joke is this portly, middle-aged store clerk looking guy has a gun. That's the joke. And that is, for the most part, the joke of the series. Sakamoto is an assassin. An ex-assassin. And why is he an ex-assassin? Well, he left his life of crime behind to have a family and a wife. And his wife, who met him when he was an assassin, married him on one condition: he would not kill anyone anymore. So he had to leave his profession, being an assassin, behind and become a store clerk. The store he opened with his savings from his life of murder. And so the curtains open on Sakamoto. That's not really spoilers. This is chapter 1. The basics of our hero, this dude. Now, of course, Sakamoto, in this sense, isn't actually that old. Not actually an old man. And looks old. He's actually maybe in his late 30s, early 40s. Daughter's quite young, and he is still quite young. And so sometimes he turns into hot Sakamoto. And hot Sakamoto is, of course, powered up. That's kind of irrelevant, but it just came to my mind. Do I think hot Sakamoto is really hot? You know. Anyway, of course, you cannot just leave behind a life of crime, and so Sakamoto is assaulted. He was also one of the best in the world. #1 assassin type deal. The legend of the underground, Sakamoto. And so he's got a lot of blood on his hands, got a lot of vengeance sworn against him, and apparently he's got a bounty on his head. Whoa, so our story begins, and people attack Sakamoto, and they either become his friend, and now they're friends, or die. Yeah, but not because of Sakamoto. Or wander off. Sakamoto beats him up, and they say, shucks. They walk away. That happens a few times. Sounds basic enough, sounds simple enough, sounds normal, right? Yeah. Forgive me. It's low light, night to night, and this is a pretty kind of chill jam. Sakamoto days. Even though this is a pretty simple setup, and a setup that has more or less maintained its form throughout the entirety of this series up through chapter 105, which just came out about a week ago. Whoa, new chapter coming tomorrow morning. Very cool. For us here in America. But Sakamoto Days has achieved quite a bit of notoriety. Lots of people have been praising Sakamoto Days. What is it about Sakamoto Days that is so nice? Because, and here will be my sort of spoiler-free, loose review of Sakamoto Days. Sakamoto Days is a pretty cookie cutter golden boy hero story. Spy Family is kind of like that too, where Lloyd is like the greatest spy in the world. But he's also a dad. Holy shit. Sakamoto Days is roughly similar idea, but he's actually a dad. It's not a fake dad. And I mean, Sakamoto washes Lloyd Forger. Jesus. Be serious. Come on. Regardless. Right, it follows a pretty straightforward formula in that regard. And, you know, as you'd expect, it is kind of Assassin of the Week. We do end up with a larger plot that comes into play, because who put the bounty on his head, right? That's the bigger mystery, and we find out who it is, and we go, and now we are in that arc of approaching the person who put a bounty on his head. Slur X. This guy who shows up. And we get that, and it's, you know, it's normal. It is, you know, that kind of vengeance. Back in the days, kinda, ooh, from way back when. The memories, the past coming back to haunt him. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Right? That's the whole thing. So, it's nothing groundbreaking as a story. The character concept is not it's not even unique in Jump right now. Like I said, Secret Assassin Dad is literally Spy X Family too. So what is so nice about Sakamoto Days? Well, let me tell you something. As it sounds, Sakamoto Days features many battles. Many a battle. Between Sakamoto and the assassins that come to get him. And so Sakamoto has to fight a bunch. And you know what? That means there's lots of battles. So, here we have, in Shonen Jump, a magazine known for its battles. A comic where there can just be battles every week. Think about that. Just another assassin shows up, attacks Sakamoto, battle, boom, bam, boom. Every week is probably a little too high. Every other week, easily. And let's put it like this. there are a ton of fights in this. There are a ton of fights in Sakamoto Days. They're all incredible. And I mean that seriously. Every fight in this is awesome. And I can't express quite how impressive that is. We're gonna go into it a lot more. But I wanted to do something tonight. I wanted to do a little content stealing because honestly, I have some ideas about Sakamoto Days, right? But I wanted to see a little bit one other perspective on Sakamoto Days. And so I went and I wanted to see what's the most viewed English language Sakamoto Days review, which currently is this one with 21k views. And I want to see what they have to say about it, and use some ideas as a jumping off point, because I have some things I want to say, but I want a little more juice. I want to borrow some juice. Da, 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 da. Okay. How's it there? Pull this up. React time. I'm changing the React meta. In the past, other reactors have had themselves in front of the content. How about this? The content is in front of me. Because who cares? There you go. You can see a little bit. Let me show the channel. Since I'm stealing content here.
So before we start, I do have a second one. So if you are interested in more content that isn't related to anime and manga, consider going over there and subscribing. Also, if you end up enjoying this video, consider leaving a like. I'd really appreciate it. So I absolutely love being wrong about manga, especially if it has anything to do with my prejudgment of that manga. Because I'll go into it judging a book by its cover, barely knowing anything about it, potentially holding off on a very incredible experience. And this is exactly what has happened time and time again with many series, especially this one, Sakamoto Days. See, originally, when I seen this story, or this manga, I thought it was a gag manga. This was how
it looks like a gag.
kind of presented.
It does look like a gag. It straight up looks like a gag manga, and he mentions it was pushed like that. He thought it was a gag manga.
It at the time didn't fit within the umbrella of Battle Shonen under Kaizen or One Piece, etc., etc. But it also didn't fit into the mold of like the romance stories or even the gag mold, right? Kind of didn't sit anywhere. Came at a very odd time, and a lot of newer stories were kind of thriving or overshadowing it.
Right. Sakamoto Days came alongside with JJK, Chainsaw Man, is around with Demon Slayer and shit, like My Hero Academia, just whoa. And it's been hanging there, man.
I should say.
It has the best fights of all of those.
And I think it genuinely got skipped.
I'm not kidding.
Over by a lot of people because it was presented as a gag manga. I am not only deeply disappointed in myself for judging the story so early on, and it's not that I inherently hate it right off the get-go. It's
I didn't even think about it, honestly.
More so I avoid it. If I feel like I'm not necessarily going to enjoy it, I'm
I wasn't avoiding it or something. Because I like a good gag manga. I don't know. I was just reading other stuff. Then I was like, you know what? Let's check this out. And it actually took me a couple tries because the first part, uh, yeah, it takes a little while to click in. You'll know what I'm
I'm
talking
not going to
about.
put my attention towards it unless something piques that interest. I don't know what came over me over the past couple of days, but I decided to read it. And I am extremely happy, more than happy, that I was wrong about this story. My judgment was way, way off. Not even close to what Sakamoto Days actually provides, the value that it has. And trust me when I say this, it's probably something that you want to check out. So, let's begin.
Nice intro. I love that. Sakamoto Days, a hidden gem. Yeah, everything he says is pretty true. It's overlooked a lot. I mean, it is. Look, let's just say I am not quite as excited for Sakamoto Days chapter tomorrow as I am for the Chainsaw Man chapter on Tuesday. But, you know, it's still hype. Good. Yeah, Sakamoto Days is a very classic tone amongst the in a revolutionary moment. He's kind of like, my analogy is that we're in sort of like a bebop of comics era, even in the West. I'll talk about sometime soon with Saga. It's sort of surrounding circle aesthetic zone that it is carved out. But amongst all of that, talking about Days is a hidden gem. It's kind of like, what's going on? Roboco is sort of along for the ride, and you look at Roboco and you're like, all right, it's classic, it's cartoony, it's goofy, it's it's a parody Lamau. Sakamoto Days is different. It's like serious, like kind of straight up, straightforward. It's so good. Okay. Go back.
So yes, they may be wrong about a lot of stories, but I'm more than happy to be wrong and to be proven wrong by a lot of stories. And this is one of those times where I didn't really have much of an expectation going into this story, because like I said originally, I thought it was a gag
Why?
manga. So I thought I would try it out anyway, no harm to that, and found myself completely and wholeheartedly enjoying it through and through. It's relatively small because it's still rather new in the grand scheme of Weekly Shonen Jump.
This was a
and
year
considering
ago.
that it is
It's about
overshadowed by a lot of the stuff
100
that's a bit
chapters now.
higher than it in terms of chapter length, like Undead Unluck or Mashal, for example, this is something that's very easy to gloss over. I am deeply happy that I read this manga, and for a good handful of reasons. One, I feel like this is a perfect response to Jump Plus's Spy X Family. There is a lot of similarities between them. I wouldn't be surprised within the building blocks of creating this story, the editor and the author sat down and said, look, here's Spy X Family, we need something like this, but obviously within your own realm, within your own authenticity, your own uniqueness. Bring your own style to the table. But we don't want it to be solely comedic, and we don't want it to
I don't know if they went that hard. Ah, you know, there's something in the air with spies. I do think Spy X Family has set an aesthetic trend towards spies. The kind of comedic intrigue that is possible with the spy setting is fascinating. Something, a world where a young man handcrafts a weird shotgun and walks up during a political speech by an ex-prime minister and shoots him in the chest in protest of in protest of connections between the right-wing government and a large cult which his mother fell victim to. And this was his frustration and vengeance and the call to arms to investigate these connections. And you know what happened? Everybody said, actually, he's kind of right though. Actually, he is kind of right though. Isn't that crazy? I love that, man. I love that that is true. No, chat is not working, dude. It's not working. Frowny face. Alright, let's go back. Not you. Big.
To compete or fall under the battle shonen aesthetic, so blend them both together to have a comedic action orientated experience, very similar to Spy X Family. Move forward a little bit more and you have the birth of the conception that is Sakamoto Days. A lot of you know, and I reiterate this constantly, I'm not a big fan of comedy. I don't outright hate it.
L.
Just like when it's used with purpose, with intent. If it's something that is filled to the brim within the story, it becomes very washed out for me. Very dull, very meaningless. And it's probably a big reason why I don't really enjoy comedy TV shows or movies or gag manga specifically. That is the main focus of that material. Comedy. Nothing against it, but something that I don't really vibe with. However, I do appreciate comedy within everything else. When it's just like another component or another concept within a full fleshed out manga.
These graphics are fucking sick.
Experience or TV show or movie, etc. Sakamoto Days finds that perfect balance, and it takes a little bit to get there, but once it does find its rhythm, when it finds its perfect balance between action and comedy, you have this very kind of beautiful blend to it. It feels extremely Weekly Shonen Jump-esque, but it also feels like something new and refreshing.
I agree. The way that this this wave of spy material, cipher something, whatever, fucking Nishimishin's writing one. Nishimishin 20th anniversary coming soon. Please, new Shaft. Please, Akiyuki. Where are you, dude? Come on, dude. Where are you, Shinbo? I started watching Monogatari series again. The hell, dude. Honestly, it's really good. Okay.
It's kind of weird to explain. It feels nostalgic but also revitalizing and new at the same time. The reason I compare it to Spy X Family is because honestly it feels like the best way to put it. Spy X Family balances comedy with severity and action beautifully. It's one of the best manga out currently that I feel like it does it extremely well, and it's interwoven within not only its dynamics but its overall concept of storytelling to it.
Dude, this BGM is like entrancing.
Its core. It is a vital piece to the puzzle. The thing is with Spy X Family is that its action or its severity is extremely dark and brutal. So on the surface, you could just say that Spy X Family is
It's true, dude. Spy Family has those moments where you're like, yo, what? What the? Why is there there's like bombs? There's like people getting murdered, terrorists. Anya had like a a bomb around her neck. Yeah, it wasn't real, but it's
with
like,
pretty light-hearted
yo.
comedic manga with some action elements within it. But when you start actually reading the story, there's some pretty messed up things that parallel obviously real-world issues: racism, kind of genocide plots, suicide bombings, terrorism,
Yeah.
two nations
Yep.
at the brink of war, and the
You know, in a town that is definitely not Berlin, in an unnamed country that has been split between the East and the West after some. What kind of conflict could that be? I who knows?
underworkings of assassins and espionage and spies or hitmen interwoven all between. It's a very brutal thing, and it's kind of showcased pretty proficiently through it. It's not something that's hidden, it's something
Yeah. Also, it's just a murderer. She just murders people a lot. Incredible.
that's always there constantly, so it creates a
I
very
love how much of a
contrasting
joke it
backdrop
is.
for its comedy, considering that is the
She's
main
awesome.
stage, if you will. Sakamoto Days does something extremely similar, but not as brutal, at least in its finesse, if that makes sense. Its comedy is very similar to Spy X Family. It's very visual in that sense, and the main character is overweight, and he has a very simplistic, goofy appearance to himself, and it usually feeds off or is tunneled to the secondary main character known as Shin, who can actually read minds. Funny enough, very similar to Anya within Spy X Family. Because of this, the dynamic between Taro Sakamoto, the main character, and Shin is well thought out through and through. Like, these are the two stable characters that will provide you usually
Yeah. Wow. How I guessed it.
with the
Let's
most
go.
comedy, because Shin can read minds and Taro
This is
doesn't
a
really talk
great
all too
chapter
much.
cover.
He kind of talks in bullet points, very small phrases, but he thinks about the things that he wants to do very often and provides these gag elements that is filled with the brutality. And this is where the severity of all of this action kind of comes into play. See,
These concepts are circling the drain for me, but I think, yeah, I think I'm on board with where this review's at. It's like the balance between the violence and the action, the seriousness, the darkness. He goes severity versus the levity. I don't know. Yeah.
Taro is, or
Let's go.
was, a very profound hitman. One of the best within the industry, within the hitman world,
Synopsis time.
so to speak. But he's retired now. He's changed his ways. He's left his previous life behind. He now has a loving wife and a young daughter, and he is a very simple convenience store owner. But this doesn't mean that he's dull in any sense. He still has his hitman traits, his strength, speed, etc., etc.
Right.
He may be overweight compared to what he originally was, and very simplistic and kind of carefree now, but he still has all of these incredible feats behind him. This severity or action or brutality is showcased very often, and I'm actually surprised on how gritty it can actually be, because you see people get shot in the head,
Dude,
you
it's a
see people get
skull. What
stabbed
the
in
hell?
the face,
That's awesome.
neck cut apart, body limbs coming off. Like, it's very visual in that sense. So it has that
The
sense
editing
of
on this is crazy.
severity similar to Spy X Family, whereas Spy X Family is more political with a lot more finesse. Sakamoto Days is more so in your face. It's like John Wick, for example, and I assume a lot of people are going to make that very simple
Yes,
comparison to Sakamoto.
it is like John Wick. It's like John Wick. Okay, it's like John Wick because it is an action comic. It's an action-focused comic. That is where it differs heavily from Spy X Family. That it's Spy X Family. I'll put it like this: in Spy X Family, all the like secret intrigue, spy stuff, reading minds, right? Having a double life, secret identity, hiding who you really are. That's the main core of the text. In Sakamoto Days, the main core of the text is people battling, dude. Let's go.
Sakamoto days, but it pretty much is like that. You see characters get absolutely obliterated, and the artwork is very kind of focused in on it
Absolutely
constantly. It's actually
obliterated,
really
yes.
pretty. There's a lot of intent and purpose behind how everything is drawn, and the action sequences are always super engaging and enjoyable, which is honestly surprising when the story or manga is promoted as a gag manga. I think
Yes.
the toughest pill to swallow
Yes.
for this
It
manga
was kind of a nice surprise to find out.
is actually the beginning, because the first 3 chapters you'll read it and you think, well, this is basically the whole story. If this is a gag manga, it's going to repeat around this formula in some way, shape, or form, and then something else will come.
Yes, dude. Okay, that's where I was tweeting out. Let me pull- I retweet too much fan art. We love to think I'm an aggregator page. No, I just have a problem, dude. Her. Her. That she. Gonna be like more of a part of the story. Right? Because, like, in the gag setup, you know, the cute police officer who chases you around, you rascally assassins. What you doing? That's a great gag character. But, yeah, she's not exactly around here.
This isn't actually the case. Not long after the first 3 chapters, you find yourself running into that nostalgia or familiarity that is Weekly Shonen Jump's battle manga, where it implements a much bigger purpose or story arc that's going to cover most likely the entire story.
Yeah, with the bounty
This
on the
is
head.
exactly what Sakamoto Days does. So it blends the comedic value of gag manga within Jump with the battle manga of Jump. And you create this very, once again, interesting experience where comedy and nostalgia and something new and refreshing at the same time all swirls together. Add on a sprinkle of very visual brutality, very unique characters that are kind of rotate around Taro and Shin and
that's an interesting way to put it. It is kind of brutal, yeah.
A lot of other people that come through. Lu, who is a Chinese woman that's very efficient with martial arts. Everyone has their own approach, aspect, or detail towards themselves that makes them entirely unique. Taro being very overweight, but extremely proficient when it comes to his hitman aesthetic and what he can actually do. Not to mention, there is an added element to there that revolves
Sakamoto's primary thing, as far as I can tell, is punching like hella hard. It seems he's just like strong as shit.
Specifically around
That's
his image, around his body weight, and how it actually fluctuates or changes. It's actually shied away from quite often because they don't want to use it as like a power-up moment, but it definitely is used as a power-up moment. If you have
yeah, dude, the hot Sakamoto is fucking powered up.
Reddit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Shin being a main character but a secondary to Taro, he can read minds. He's also
Shin is real MC. You know, this is like Gojo, but it's, you know how JJK. Okay, JJK aside. Hold on. Shimoto on my sack till I daze. Why did I do that? JJK aside. Okay, so you know how JJK kind of should have been about Gojo, and then but he started writing it and it was about it was about this kid, Itadori. Yuji, dude. Who the fuck is this guy, man? Where like following this dumbass kid around. Meanwhile, God himself is like running around doing whatever the fuck he wants. Uh, you know, in some sense, Sakamoto Days is a lot of that, right? It is you got the badass guy kind of past his prime or whatever. But he's still super badass. So he's still gotta fight.
A hitman himself, and they work hand in hand together very beautifully. Lu, a Chinese woman that they come across, she also joins the ranks as a martial arts woman and someone that is extremely.
I forgot what her arc was. Dumplings? Something to do with dumplings, some stupid shit like that. I literally think that's it.
In that regard, and brings a whole new element to the story, something that's very quirky and upbeat compared to Shin and Taro. This is very early, like this is probably within the first 20 chapters, and then you start to see the truer or bigger narrative that Sakamoto Days actually provides. See, because it's on top of the hitman killing kind of business, if that makes sense, there is a lot of very simple constructs that come into play. So there is a handful of different hitman organizations that are obviously in the business of killing people. Taro was a part of this. Shin was a part of this. Obviously, because they are no longer within that life, this organization that branches off into different organizations is ruining their everyday life. Obviously, Taro just wants to be a convenience store owner, and
right. The whole idea is the life he left behind is coming back to haunt him. He just wants to do groceries, but you can't just do groceries, man. You can't just leave that all behind and do groceries. Boo. Boo on you. Well, maybe not. Maybe Sakamoto wins in the end, we'll find out.
Shin wants to work with him and help him out. So they take all of their efforts and they kind of clash head on with these organizations. And the story does a great job in giving this to you bit by bit in a really familiar type of way. Right down that battle jump manga alley. Because of it, it's super easy to understand. It may seem scary at first because of how much they kind of want to show it off, but it genuinely starts to funnel itself in a specific way to give you that familiar sense of, I've experienced something like this before. This organization or this.
I don't know if I would say it's like that's why they're doing it. I don't know if they're doing it with intent to get that nostalgia going. I mean, I guess doing it in that style is nostalgic, but I think that's just the author's style. You know, they have that old school style, so they're doing the old school thing, or they've just chosen to do an old school style for this one.
Big thing,
maybe to
association
capitalize on nostalgia, but probably just because of their own nostalgia.
Right at the top is some of the most powerful or best hitman to ever exist, known as the Order, and then everything underneath is kind of like the in-betweens of like some people that are very easily defeated in like 1 or 2 punches, and other people that are extremely powerful and take a whole army to potentially try to defeat. Shin, Taro, and Lu, and everyone else that is a part of the hitman group, obviously trying to protect their everyday life, clash with these organizations head on. And just to make it a little bit more interesting, a little bit more specific, there is a set amount of rules that Taro has to abide by because his wife...
Dude, the background graphics are crazy.
He cares for his safety. Doesn't want him to be a bad person or to fall back into that line of work so easily. So she has set rules, considering he left the life for her to start a family with her, and it's a very beautiful and loving family. The biggest one being is no killing, and there will be consequences.
No killing, yes. This is, to me, the sort of crucial crux of the discourse you could do with Sakamoto. It is the boundary of violence, right? Sakamoto trying to step back across the line that you cross when you kill.
If there is killing. And you kind of get this idea, they make sure you know it very early on because it does get a lot more chaotic later on within the story. But these are loosely played around quite often, and it kind of makes for some very interesting engagements or thought process that you put yourself through when Taro, Shin, and Lu and everyone else kind of go into battle or find themselves in very awkward or weird situations, which a lot of the time they do.
Right, and it does enhance the battle dynamics because, like I said, this is a primarily battle comic, and so the main characters, battle wise, are under this prescription that they don't use lethal techniques.
I apologize that I've kind of broken this up in a very weird way to explain this story, so I'd like to do something a little bit more simplistic right at the end of the video to give you a better idea of what Sakamoto Days is like. So with that, let's take a look. Sakamoto Days.
Okay, synopsis. Cool. Yeah, I agree with most of the takes in that video. Some of them I think lean a little bit too much into the vibes are a plot. Vibes are vibes are a sinister plot by the author to make me feel a certain way about a thing. I mean, kind of, but you know, you don't have to be that in your head about it. Oh man, we've been live almost an hour. All right, well, I can see why Hassan does so many reacts. That killed a bunch of time and made for some great content. That was a cool video. We're not gonna watch till the end of the video. Of course. Of course. Look, this is the Sakamoto Days episode. Alright, we're gonna skip the synopsis. Anything else I want to add on top of that little review? It is a kind of a nice surprise. There was something missing, I think, from that review, which is a comment on the artwork. And I'm gonna take a little bit of break. I need to get a drink of water. But yeah. The artwork of Sakamoto Days is far the way its greatest aspect. It's number one great. And we're gonna take a little bit of a look at why after this break. Sakamoto Days has what I would classify as the best fight choreography in Jump right now. Alright, we will talk about that after the break. We're back. Chat is still not working again. Let's talk about the art of Sakamoto days. And rather than wax poetic, because I'm getting kind of sleepy. We're not gonna rush it. Poor Art's gonna dive right in. I'm just gonna show you. Break it down. Alright, here's one of my favorite pages from probably my favorite fight thus far. Obviously features this crazy big panel of this very badass woman. Right, she's standing here. She's fighting this dude who is like the fucking, you know, fucking film camera motif villain, you know. There's a JoJo-esque element to the character design in Sakamoto Days, so that's kind of fun. This is the I'm a film director assassin. So stupid. I love it. Destroy the database. Alright, she's got the students behind her. Oh, there. This is so good. This page is so good. I cannot. I say I cannot explain, but I'm going to try and explain it to you right now. This page might not look like so much, but let's break this page down a little bit. Alright, so here you have the plot line of the text, the read order, and obviously I don't know 100% this is the intended read order, but it does make sense, and it looks pretty good. Alright, so let's look. Put it up here. Yeah. Why is it always like this, dude? Hold on. A timeline. Right, this moment here. Just happens like that. Right, next panel here. Probably spoken moments later. And then there's an immediate response. Here's even kind of paired up in a way. Then maybe a little bit of a pause, but again, very soon. Almost instantaneously. Another event occurs. Bam. These two panels are almost simultaneous. trying to make them so close together. Almost simultaneous. Get closer. You see what I mean? This is literally simultaneous, I think. And this is all, of course, at the same time. A vague time. Meanwhile, I'll put it in the meanwhile zone. Whatever, you get it. Alright, we can put these events where they're happening in time. And as you can see, the pages of Sakamoto Days are extremely tight in terms of their pacing. Right, they obviously have some gag pages that are more gag manga type pacing, but the fight pacing is like this. And because the pacing of the way the author is able to display fights is so tight and so clean, you can get really dynamic, fluid flow of action that keeps you engaged in and of itself. And there are some things of that analysis, of course, that we left out. Just the way the perspective works. So notice here, we're sort of setting the perspective of this next sequence with the first panel. And so when we have this exchange, see, she's still sort of facing the same way, facing towards where he's facing it down, right? And this perspective is the same. We haven't rotated around. We're sort of passing over her face from this frontward facing here, and we're still in that same position with the camera on this left side in the front, relative to the students or behind. And here, that sort of in front behind, you can still see it there, even in this vertical position. So there's a lot more to it than just that kind of temporal pacing, right? There's so much spatial stuff that he does within the panels that's very cool and creates the flow. It's hard to what to say. It's hard to do sort of a general analysis of that because we're very particular to the artist's style, and the artist has a unique take on how to do that. But it's sort of, broadly speaking, the challenge of being a comics artist. How are you going to thread the panels together into a story? And this type of really sort of tight paneling, Fujimoto has also been doing a lot. Lots of simultaneous panels, lots of small motion panels. I'll talk about that sometime. But yeah, it works really well in Sakamoto Days. I will say this. To sum up my review of Sakamoto Days, and this is going to be my ending text for tonight. Not a JJK aside. Sakamoto Days has the best action in comics. I would stand by that right now. Why not? It's really good. This is the only comic I have ever read where I was excited to see not to, get involved in the drama of the next story. Not to learn of a new character's history. Not to reach the conclusion of a long arc. In Sakamoto Days, I wanted to see the next fight, because the fights were cool. It was the comics version of a Jackie Chan movie. Really, it's got that same kind of Jackie Chan humor to it. It's funny. The fights are funny too. It has that kind of comedic fight choreography. Right? The comedy actually extends into the fights, but it's in a very cool way. As you saw, there's something funny about that image, right? The woman, and she's in her shawl and pearls, right? That's the person in the fight, but she looks so cool. So it's got a kind of funny in a cool way. And I didn't even show you some of the best moments in that because I want you guys to be able to enjoy them yourself, unsullied by me. But that's one of my favorites. Sakamoto Days, yeah, the rendering of fight choreography is incredible, and the underlying choreography is creative as fuck. It's very cool ideas for fights, it's very cool ideas for assassins, it's very cool ideas for ways of those two assassins to fight. It is great battle stuff. There's no power system, which I love. Screw power systems. Get them out of here, except for which Atelier. WHA has the best power system, and so it will be forgiven. But no other power system should ever exist. So if you enjoy fun, it is a comedy. If you like jokes, any joke enjoyers, for some reason that review is like, I don't really like jokes. I'm a more serious type of guy. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. That was a great video. I love that. I love that review. It was a good review. I agreed with everything in it. Pretty much. I think he missed on not mentioning how fucking good the art is. Because the art, I don't want to say carried by art, because that's not true at all, but like, the art's incredible. The art is better than Fujimoto's. The art in Sakamoto Days is wild. It's so good. Like you saw that page, man. It's nutty. It is nuts, dude. So definitely go read Sakamoto Days. Beautiful pages, incredible action. The pacing of the fights, the battles, everything is great. The backstories are great. The characters are great. The jokes are good. The overarching story, a little dry for me, honestly, but it's fine. It's good. Good enough. It drives things forward. It keeps things interesting. We like it. We appreciate it. We stand Sakamoto Days. Oh, Sakamoto days. Hope the anime that it will inevitably come looks cool as fuck. I don't think Mappa should do that. Oh, we should do this one. Trigger? Trigger Sakamoto days? Hold on. Trigger doesn't do adaptations. Curses. That's fine though. I hope they never do. I hope they did one adaptation and it was mid okay. End splash. Goodbye. Thanks for stopping by. Like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.